Hi, welcome to the third of 4 videos where I describe our research that focused on how principals and educational leaders promoted the educational success of First Nations, Métis, and Indigenous students. The overarching theme of the research was relationships. Relationships matter. In this video, I want to talk in particular about relationships with students and what the principals and educational leadership did to promote relationship with students. Most principals and school leaders that we talk to believe that their job ultimately was about possessing a belief in students, in Indigenous students. So the starting point of the relationship building with students is possessing high expectations for First Nations, Métis, and Indigenous students. So these expectations were relayed in a number of ways. Many principals talked about improving course offerings and electives for high school Indigenous students. They talked about promoting higher course completion rates if maybe the courses were block scheduled in an intense fashion. For example, 2 or 3 courses could be offered over a 2-month period. Principals also talked about a passport program where students who did not complete an entire course would receive credit for the units of that course they completed, and when the time was right, they would come back to complete the course. They also talked about promoting electives that Indigenous students identified as valuable. Another aspect of promoting Indigenous school success meant exposing more Indigenous students to post-secondary options. That included having academic people or representatives from university being guest speakers in schools, having Indigenous students participate in funded field trips to universities. In many schools, tutorage was provided for Indigenous students, and when this tutorage was paid for, also the home transportation was provided. Finally, promoting relationships with students meant creating a school environment that Indigenous students could identify with. And that also meant promoting smudging areas for students and having these areas open for teachers and the school principals as well. Reflecting on all of these examples, a big aspect of promoting students and relationships with students was promoting opportunities. Building student relationships was about observing, listening, and responding to the needs of the students and providing those opportunities for students. Stay tuned for video number 4, where I will describe relationship with self and indigenizing the curriculum.